Welcome to EduRev. I'm here as your personal grammar guide to help you master exactly how verbs shape time. You know, when I think about grammar, it isn't just a set of rigid, boring rules. It's really about taking complete control of my own narrative. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I manipulate the present tense to bring my sentences to life and convey my thoughts with absolute precision. We often take the present tense for granted, kind of thinking of it as just stating what's happening right now. But as you'll see, it is way more powerful than that. I'll be taking you step by step through this exact roadmap to conquer the four pillars of the present tense today. We've got the simple present truths, the continuous action now, the perfect present connection, and finally, the perfect continuous stretch. And of course, I'll wrap the whole shebang up with a quick chapter summary and review. But hey, before we hit those pillars, what exactly is tense? When I change a word from walk to walking, what am I actually doing? Well, tense is simply the form taken by a verb to indicate time and the continuance or completeness of an action. The way I alter my verbs literally tells my listener whether an action is ongoing, entirely finished, or just a routine habit I perform every single day. It's my way of giving you the exact context of my reality. Number one, the simple present truths. This is exactly where I start when I need to establish the baseline of my reality. I use the simple present specifically when I want to express my daily routines, universal facts, or when I really want to tell a highly vivid story. For example, when stating a habitual action, I'd say, I get up every day at 5 o'clock. It's a permanent fixture in my schedule. If I'm declaring a universal truth, I use phrases like, fortune favors the brave. But I gotta say, my absolute favorite use is the vivid narrative. When I want my storytelling to feel immediate and thrilling, I drop the past tense entirely and say something like, immediately the Sultan hurries to his capital. Wow, right? It feels like we are literally right there in the room with the Sultan, watching him rush out the door. It pulls my listener right into the action as if it's happening in real time. Number two, the continuous action now. This handles actions that are incomplete or currently ongoing. I use the continuous tense for actions happening right at this very moment, temporary phases, and even my firm plans for the near future. So if I look out my window, I might say, the boys are playing cricket in the ground. That's an action happening right this exact second. For a temporary action, something I'm doing these days, but maybe not while I'm actively speaking to you, I'd say, I'm reading a Sidney Sheldon novel nowadays. I also use it to express changing situations like, India is progressing day by day. And finally, when I have a firm plan locked in for the very near future, I say, I am going to the cinema tonight. So the absolutely crucial point here is that I must avoid using the present continuous for the distant future. This is a very common pitfall I see all the time. I shouldn't say, I am going to the cinema next week, because that timeline is slightly distant. It breaks the rule of the near future. Instead, I need to shift my verb to the future simple. It is so much better and grammatically accurate if I simply say, I will go to the cinema next week. Keeping that boundary clear completely prevents my timeline from getting messy. And this brilliantly illustrates a really fascinating exception. Sometimes I have to deal with someone's obstinate, die-hard habit despite my constant warnings. In those super frustrating cases, I actually use the continuous tense instead of the simple present. If I'm deeply annoyed with someone, it's technically incorrect for me to say, it is no use scolding him. He always does what is forbidden. Because the habit persists stubbornly in spite of advice, I need to capture that ongoing annoyance. I do this by pairing an adverb like always or constantly with the continuous tense. The correct and honestly much more expressive way for me to state this is it is no use scolding him. He is always doing what is forbidden. You can almost hear the frustration baked right into the verb itself. Number 3. The perfect present connection. This perfectly builds a bridge to my immediate past. If I walk up to you and simply tell you, I wrote 3 books, your mind immediately asks this question: when did you write 3 books? And that's because the thought feels entirely incomplete. By being so specific as to say 3 books without giving you a time frame, my listener is left hanging, just waiting for context that I haven't provided. I mean, did I write them yesterday? 10 years ago? To fix this, whenever I specify a quantity, like 3 books, without mentioning a specific time, I must use the present perfect to imply I wrote them by now. Saying, I wrote 3 books is incorrect because it practically begs for a past time marker. But by simply changing my verb form to say, I have written 3 books, I instantly solved the problem. The phrase by now is silently implied, making my sentence perfectly complete and so satisfying to the ear. However, there is a very strict boundary I set for my verbs. I never use the present perfect with past adverbs like last week. It's a common mistake, but it's totally incorrect to say, India has won the match last week. Because I'm using a definitive past time marker, last week, the immediate past doesn't go unindicated. The event is locked in history, so I have to stick exclusively to the simple past tense. The correct form is just, India won the match last week. I also use the present perfect tense when I want to focus heavily on the present effect of a past action rather than the action itself. For instance, if I want to indicate a completed activity in the immediate past, I say, he has just gone out. He left moments ago and the effect is that he isn't here right now. If an action's effect lingers into my present reality, I might say, I have never known him to be angry. Or, if I'm describing an event where the current consequence is literally the only thing that matters, I tell you, I have cut my finger. The focus isn't on when the knife slipped. The focus is entirely on the fact that my finger is currently hurting and I need a bandage right now. Number 4. The perfect continuous stretch. This is exactly what I use for long, unfinished actions. Think of this like a totally uninterrupted timeline. If an action begins in the past, like the morning, and stretches continuously right into my current moment, I need a special tool for it. If I started reading at 8 a.m., was still actively turning pages at 10 a.m., and I am still holding the book at noon, I need a verb form that captures that entire unbroken stretch of time. Because of this massive stretch, I always have to pair this tense with a specific phrase that expresses time, like, since morning. I can't just leave the action hanging in a void. I must say, I have been reading this book since morning. Or, if I'm talking about a massive ongoing project, I'd say, they have been building the bridge for several months. It perfectly captures an action that began in the past, has taken a significant amount of time, and is stubbornly continuing right now as we speak. Number 5. Chapter Summary and Review. Okay, let's bring all of these concepts together to really lock in what we've covered today. Let's look at how beautifully these four tools organize our management of time and completeness. When I use the simple tense, I'm dealing with habitual actions like I get up at 5 o'clock. With the continuous tense, I'm handling incomplete ongoing actions right now, such as I'm reading Sidney Sheldon nowadays. When I shift to the perfect tense, I'm showing that an action is completely finished with respect to a certain point of time, like I have written 3 books. And finally, when I need to show an action going on continuously over a long period that isn't finished yet, I use the perfect continuous. I have been reading this book since morning. It is a perfect, highly logical system I can rely on to express exactly where I am in time. To continue this awesome learning journey with me, make sure you download the EduRev app available right now on the Play Store and iOS App Store for more content.